Hey guys, so I told you that I was going to make a video talking about my tips for if you have to do an interview over Zoom, because I know a lot of companies right now, instead of doing like in-person interviews, they're either choosing to do phone interviews where you're just basically having a phone call with the HR person or whoever is hiring, like the hiring manager, or they're doing Zoom interviews. And so based on the experience that I had doing the Zoom interview with the hospice company, it was just very awkward. And I feel like a lot of people have done in-person job interviews, but Zoom interviews are something new. And so I thought that I would kind of just share my tips and hopefully it'll help somebody not be as awkward as I felt. Um, so with the Zoom interview, I feel like the number one tip that I have for you guys is to prepare yourself before it's time for the interview. Make sure that you're in a quiet space where you're not going to have people walking back and forth behind you or in front of you to distract you from the actual interview itself. Again, make sure it's quiet. If you have animals, I would try to separate yourself from the area where your animals are. Like, for example, I obviously have dogs, so during my hospice interview, I tried to make sure that the dogs were in a place where they would be quiet. And I made sure that they had things to keep themselves occupied while I was on my Zoom interview. Thankfully, nobody drove past because my house is not insulated the best. And so, basically, if any car or truck drives past, they tend to growl and bark, and that can be very distracting, and it can also kind of reflect poorly on you as the person who's being interviewed. So try to make sure that you are in an area where it's going to be quiet, as distraction free as possible. Try to, at least from like this area, make sure that whatever area is going to be in the camera view, that you look professional. Even if it's just like business casual clothes, it looks better than, like, say if I was to wear like a tank top with spaghetti straps. Don't do that. Try to just look professional. Like, honestly, I feel like even if I just had this shirt on and pajama pants on the bottom, obviously as long as you don't have to stand up for the interview, then you should be fine with just a nice shirt. Make sure it's clean. Make sure you are, presentable. Obviously, that's a tip for any job interview. But especially when you are only meeting online, it makes things harder because I feel like it's more important when you're doing an online interview to make a good first impression. I would say try not to talk over all of the quiet times, because I found myself constantly wanting to fill the silence with nothing. So, or with words that really mean nothing. So it was kind of difficult for me to just kind of sit there, and there was areas of silence during my interview where, like I said, I just wanted to keep talking and be like, okay, I didn't really know how to handle myself, so to speak. Sorry if you can hear Willow. She's driving me nuts today. But stuff like that. If I was on a Zoom interview right now, I would not want my interviewer to hear my cat going crazy in the background, or to hear my dogs fighting or play fighting or whatever in the background, or barking at the mailman, etc., etc. Try not to fill all the silence. Obviously, if you have more to say in regards to whatever question that you have been asked, that's a different story, but try not to feel like you have to fill all the silence with your words. I would say try your best to make your personality shine, whatever it is that you have to do in order to do that, because again, since they're only meeting you online and not in person, sometimes it's way harder for them to gauge who you are as a person over the internet, because anybody can say one thing and be completely different in person, if you know what I mean. So with the online interviews, again, it's going to be really important to make that good first impression and let your personality shine as much as possible, because if you're the type of person who is a really caring person and like you might be really awkward in front of a camera or something, at least like having a sense of humor but still keeping it professional, it's going to help you in the long run. Because like Zoom interviews are so weird to me. Like my first Zoom interview was just really awkward. I honestly feel awkward during phone interviews also, because I feel like I can kind of gauge how things are going in an in-person interview, and based on that person's body language or the way that they react to something that I say, that kind of helps me know if I need to elaborate on something, and sometimes that's hard to see over the internet. But yeah, other than that, I would just say, like, do your research on the company beforehand, but this is kind of pertaining to any interview, not just Zoom interviews. I feel like you should do your research beforehand. Like on Indeed, sometimes you can see like certain interview questions that other people were asked for certain positions at the company that you're interviewing at. I would say that that is something that could be helpful to you, so then you feel kind of more prepared and more confident just going into it. But anyways, I hope these tips have helped. If I can provide you with any more advice, it would just be to be yourself, be confident, show up with a smile, make sure that you're in a place with good internet, and get on the Zoom call at least 5 minutes prior to your interview, just to make sure that you're able to be on the Zoom call on time and that it doesn't look bad on you because you didn't show up on time. You know, because anything can happen. Internet can go out, storms can happen, wind can happen, you know. It's best just to be on the safe side and do what you need to do so you can be there on time, be your best, and hopefully land the job. So anyways, I hope this was helpful to you. If there's any other topics you'd like me to talk about further in a future video, let me know, and I would be more than happy to get something filmed for you. Please don't mind this stupid watermark. My landlord still hasn't come to fix it, so it is what it is. But anyways, I will talk to you guys again in my next video.